Fellowship, we bring together right now 4 teams of undergraduate student researchers. Each team has one student with film and communications background, an engineering student, a student with more technical background, and a political science student.
Essentially, the idea of the Shrink Ray Fellowship is to create educational modules focusing on cyber-informed engineering. Traditionally, the approach to engineering is one where cybersecurity is kind of layered on after the fact, and the whole intent of the program is to change that, to integrate it throughout the process of development.
Each team has picked one field to focus on. These different fields that each team is working on are very, very important. The damage can be quite detrimental if a hacker were to harm it in any way. So our team is working on cybersecurity risks in healthcare, and right now more specifically on insulin pumps. At the moment in the United States, an estimated 350,000 people use insulin pumps, and so it's quite a large field of people that could have serious damage caused to them. If a hacker were to somehow hack into the insulin pump, they could change levels of insulin dosage and possibly send the patient into hypoglycemia.
Probably the most striking thing that we found with organizational policy so far is that really a lot of the reason that these devices cannot become more secure and efficient is that manufacturers and hospital networks tend to opt for the dumbest options possible. So those with the least internet connectivity and thus the least vulnerability. But because of that, there's not really any room for growth within the industry. And there's not really any room to explore cybersecurity options. So what we found is that from the policy perspective, the entire medical device industry is in sort of a stunted state. And insulin pumps are one of the only medical devices that we know of that has any wireless connectivity in tangible everyday use within hospitals.
I can think of plenty of devices that would benefit from the device receiving communication from someone outside. I cannot think of any that actually do. They're all lo-fi solutions of having to come in personally and see the physician. I don't know what's going to overcome that other than somebody taking a lead.
So for our first use cases laboratory, I've been coding a Python insulin pump simulation with a login system, the ability to eat some amount of calories, as well as both a glucose and an insulin level record. The idea is for students to first observe the pump working by itself to deliver insulin and counteract. For the second part, students can experiment with the login process. There's a function where when you're not logged in, you can query the insulin pump for some identifying information, and that gives an ID which is using a formulaic password for the device. So this would allow students to pretend to be a malicious actor who manages to remotely access secure pump control. There's a final laboratory component where students are asked to code in a countermeasure to the insulin pump simulation. In this case, that would be a modification to the pump, adding its own separate microcontroller that causes the pump to refuse to deliver too much insulin in a short time period.
Patients who use insulin pumps, their lives quite literally depend on them, and so this is an extremely important risk to try and figure out a solution to.
It's easy to think of it as simply an engineering or a computer science problem, but in reality, if someone hacks an insulin pump, that can mean very serious injury, that can be coma, that can be death for the wearer of that device. And this doesn't only have implications for insulin pumps either. There are, say, pacemakers, there are ventilators, there are both wearable medical devices and there are medical devices that are used within a hospital setting. And a lot of them have very similar vulnerabilities to ones that we find with insulin pumps. So the issue has depth in the sense that there can be really serious consequences, and also breadth in the sense that it's sort of occupies many different aspects of the medical industry.